we are going to be reading, I'm going to read to you Whistle for Willie. This book was smaller. I ordered it on Amazon. I didn't think it was going to be this small, but for the classroom, we do have a bigger size. Our target today is I could describe the character, setting, and events in a story. So I brought back out our anchor chart that we've been working on. Describe the setting, character, and events. The 3 questions you can ask yourself about a setting. The 3 questions you can ask about character. And the 4 questions that you can ask about events. Yes, Gabriel?
So at my school, I have that book.
Oh, you do? Well, guess what? Today this is your school. Okay. Okay, so let's start the book. I'm going to ask you some questions while we're going through it about the setting, characters, and events. Okay? So if you're ready to participate, whistle for Willie. Oh, how Peter wished he could whistle. He saw a boy playing with his dog. Whenever the boy whistled, the dog ran straight to him. Peter tried and tried to whistle, but he couldn't. So instead, he began to turn himself around, around, and around. He whirled faster and faster. When he stopped, everything turned down and up and up and down and around and around. What do you think that means?
Like he was dizzy?
He was, exactly. He was dizzy. He spun around so much that things were up and down. He didn't know where he was. Peter saw his dog, Willie, coming. Quick as a wink, he hid in an empty carton lying on the sidewalk. Wouldn't it be funny if I whistled? Peter thought. Willie would stop and look all around to see who it was. Peter tried to whistle again, but still he couldn't, so Willie just walked on. So raise your hand, who are the characters in the book? Gabriel?
Willie and Peter.
Nice, Willie and Peter. And how do you know that?
Because they're on the picture.
Right, you're looking at the pictures, the illustrations, right? Good. Okay, so now I want you to turn to your partner and your very tall partner here, first grade partner, and describe Peter to your partner.
So who's Peter for you?
The boy.
Correct.
Anything else describe him? What does he look like? How does he act? This is about the character. Remember, we can look up here. How does the character look?
Short.
He's brown skin, okay. How does the character act? Let's think back. How was he acting when he was spinning around and things were up and
Silly.
Silly, right. He was acting silly. He became dizzy, but he acts like he's kind of silly, right? To spin around and around. Okay, let's move on. Peter got out of the carton and started home. On the way, he took some colored chalk out of his pocket and drew a long, long line right up to his door. He stood there and tried to whistle again. He blew till his cheeks were tired, but nothing happened. He went into his house and put on his father's old hat to make himself feel more grown up. He looked into the mirror to practice whistling. Still no whistle. Okay, now let's describe the setting. Raise your hand if you know what the setting is. If you can describe the setting in the beginning of the story. Rachel?
In the house.
In the beginning of the story?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think?
Outside.
Outside, right? He was outside. Where is the setting now, Rachel?
In the house.
In the house, right. So how did the setting change, Gabe?
He was out and then in.
Right, he was outside and now he's inside. Good. When his mother saw what he was doing, Peter pretended that he was his father. He said, "I've come home early today, dear. Is Peter here?" His mother answered, "Why, no, he's outside with Willie." "Well, I'll go outside and look for them," Peter said. First, he walked along a crack in the sidewalk. Then he tried to run away from his shadow. He jumped off his shadow, but when he landed, they were together again. Who's they?
His shadow.
His shadow.
Himself?
Exactly, his shadow and himself. They were together again. He came to the corner where the carton was, and who should he see but Willie? Here he comes. Peter scrambled under the carton. He blew and blew and blew. Suddenly, out came a real whistle. Willie stopped and looked around to see who it was. So who's telling the story? Who's telling the story?
The narrator?
Is it a narrator? Right. How do you know that, Rachel?
Say that.
Because it says they and Willie and Peter.
Nice. It's not Willie telling the story, right? It's someone else because they're saying Willie's name and Peter's name. Okay. And so what events have happened so far? What events have happened so far? Gabe, can you think of anything? How about he tried to trick Willie? That was an event that happened, right? This is the second time he went and tried to trick Willie. So let's see what happens. "It's me!" Peter shouted and stood up. Willie raced straight to him. Peter ran home to show his father and mother what he could do. They loved Peter's whistling. So did Willie. So what's an important event that happened now?
He learned how to whistle.
Very good, Rachel. You learned how to whistle. So describe another event that you think might have happened to your partner.
Another event after.
He can be maybe who he showed. Who's
He showed his
he
mom
was
and dad.
excited, right? Peter's mother asked him and Willie to go on an errand to the grocery store. He whistled all the way there, and he whistled all the way home. So what was Peter's, talk to each other and describe what Peter's problem was.
He didn't know how to whistle.
Yes, I was about to
Okay,
say
and
that.
how did it get solved?
He
He
would
tried.
keep on trying.
Right. So, here's a vocabulary word for today. Okay, it's determined. Does anyone know what determined means? Rachel?
Determined means that you want to accomplish something. You try to accomplish something.
Right. Good job, Rachel.
Thank you.
This says determined, making a firm decision or never giving up. You see the picture here? It's a little chick. He's trying to get up on a curb, and he's determined. He's not going to give up until he gets up on that curb, right? Okay, so what I want you to do now is we're going to go back to the book. You're going to work either independently or together, and we're going to read pages 20. We're going to start at page 21 in the book, and then we're going to read to the end, and then I want you to discuss with each other the setting and the events and the characters that are in the book, okay? Okay, so you can work together or independently. And that's our lesson for today. After you're done, you can get your individual book baskets